Welcome to the Gen AI podcast, where the future meets fun and tech talk trends. Get ready to dive into the world of artificial intelligence like never before. Your hosts, Dale, Alan, Greg and Val, are about to take you on a wild ride through the AI universe. So, buckle up, tune in, and let the AI adventure begin.
Welcome back, and depending on where you're listening, that might be Project Chatter, the Gen AI podcast, or Project Flux. This episode is a joint release across all three, so whoever brought you here, you're in the right place.
And I'm James, host of Project Flux. Good to be joining forces on this one, Dale. Whatever podcast you're tuning in on, we encourage you to subscribe to the others as well.
Likewise. So, context. James and I were both wearing our Controls and Skills Authority hats when we hosted a digital community of practice fight night down in Birmingham. 3 debates, 6 fighters, 1 room with a lot of opinions.
And fight night is exactly what it sounds like. The thing that made it work is that several fighters were arguing against their own natural position. So you got proper debate rather than people just grandstanding.
And if you can't argue the other side, you don't really understand the argument. And that's the whole point of the format.
Exactly right.
All right. We'll get out of the way, enjoy the fights, and let us know what you think in the comments.
Enjoy.
This first fight is Ronald Dyer versus Andrew Knight, debating whether culture is the single biggest enabler for AI adoption.
It sounds straightforward until you're in the room and people start pulling the argument apart from both ends.
Afternoon. I'm here to argue against the sense that culture is the main issue that stops AI adoption. I'm going to slightly hopefully disarm my opponent by saying I don't necessarily disagree with that. What I fundamentally disagree with is the direction of causation. For me, I think culture is a result of a number of structural issues within the sector that effectively are slowing down or blocking, in certain cases, the adoption of AI. I believe that the sector, the built environment, construction generally, is quite unique in the kind of barriers that exist for AI to be adopted easily. And I think it's quite convenient to blame culture. And we did have an interesting discussion before we actually started around even defining what culture is. But I think we can accept, we probably understand when we talk about an organization, what we mean by culture. When we talk about a sector, what we mean by culture in terms of behaviors, attitudes, the way that people have historically, and cultures by definition are long-standing constructs, how people behave, what people feel is acceptable, what boundaries they're happy to push. So I think from that point of view, let's hand it across.
Okay, so I think I'll have to use the mic.
And we need both, apparently.
Yeah. So my argument is going to be that it's all about the behavior and how people behave in organizations and their acceptance models for how they think things should go and what they feel those things should be and what's easiest to get through. So while I don't disagree with that there's a causality, where is that causality coming from? The causality is coming from the human behavior component, where there is groupthink and there's a certain flow that happens within the organization that allows it to take a certain course of action. So when we're talking about AI, just like we're talking about data before that, if the organization does not have a culture of really behaving well with data, how are you going to behave well with AI? If you don't have a good culture of lessons learned in project management and using it and leveraging it the way you're supposed to, how are you going to do that with AI? So it all comes back to the human behavior aspect in terms of what are these legacies or artifacts and etiquettes that exist in the organization that everyone's afraid to change because it's taboo.
Thank you. You're right to touch upon data. I think data, as we all know, AI needs and loves data, whether it's for training purposes, whether it's actually running the actual models themselves. And I think data is one of the big Achilles heels. I will disagree with the fact that it's a cultural issue. I think data is fundamentally one of the weaknesses of the whole built environment. It's siloed, it's disconnected, it's unstandardized. You could argue, I think, that some of that is a cultural decision. But some of it is also because we simply have lots of different actors with different data sets. And I personally would ban Excel, for example. I would stop people using Excel. If I had a button that I could actually pull, I would do exactly. Not because it's not a fine tool, but because it gives us an opportunity to have an infinite number of versions of the same data. So for me, the lack of data, the fact it's so badly curated, the fact it's so badly split and really not well managed is a root cause, and we need to sort that out.
So here's where we disagree. Because first of all, I think Excel is an excellent tool, right? Secondly, it's not a data issue in terms of silo, it's a people issue in terms of siloed people and the way that they behave, because no one wants to share their data for fear of all the consequences that come if they're wrong or they get blamed for something. So therefore, from that perspective, people are going to house or containerize what they're doing, not because they may have the wrong information, but because perception outside of that leads to a direction where people start to think that, okay, fine, if I'm wrong about this, how am I going to be perceived? And the culture does not accept that, likely, in many instances, because nobody likes to be the failure in the room. So people go with the groupthink. So we either hide information, don't reveal as much information, we silo information not to protect the organization, but protect ourselves, and we enable the bad behavior right through. And as a result of that, you can't blame Excel for the problem, you can't blame containerization, you have to blame people.
Round 3.
Thank you. I think silos are an important, I guess we'll get some time back then, shouldn't I? I think silos are an important thing to talk about because we have silos within silos. It's like Russian dolls. We have professions within organizations involved in a project. And in fact, it's worth emphasizing at the point that actually we don't build products in the built environment, we build projects, all of them subtly different, with a subtly different group of people involved in terms of the various professionals. So we have different organizations with different motives, with different data architectures working together. And even within organizations, we have different professions. We obviously love to give ourselves labels in terms of the different things that we do. And we love our own data. And you could argue perhaps that's, yes, behavioral, that's cultural. But we have silos within silos. And so that data is technically very, very hard to share. Yes, you're right. There probably are cultural reasons why we don't like sharing it. And I'll talk in one of my other sessions about why that is as a structural issue. But also we've got to think about the contractual issues. Does that encourage people to share data? I don't think it does at the moment. Contracts are about arguing.
So again, we're going to disagree. Who creates silos? Humans do. Behavior. What am I protecting? What am I keeping from you because it seeks my interest, it helps me get promoted, it protects me from certain harm within the organization, it protects me from perception. Yes, there may be silos in terms of data, but let's look at an example, and it's going to be a horrible example because I'm not a soccer person or as football as you say here, but why do you have harmonized soccer teams and there are no silos? Most teams work together in harmony towards the end game, which is a goal and scoring. So if you take the same behavior and extrapolate it onto an organization, why are we protecting when the goal is a better organization, not a better individual within the organization? And consequently, if you keep siloing stuff, you keep enabling the same behavior that you started with before, and you don't change anything. So you have to de-silo, which means you have to allow people to be able to change the behavior with limited consequence.
Thank you. I'll keep on the kind of silo riff because I think one of the other issues we need to think about is we exist in the real world here, as that's an obvious thing to say, but there are issues of liability, there are issues of trust, and AI roughly can be divided into two ways of looking at AI. There's the deterministic AI where you hopefully get the same answer each time you answer the machine, it's explainable, and obviously we're in this world of LLMs and probabilistic AI where it does hallucinate, that's a feature, not a bug, and ultimately people like to sue each other. Now, whether that's a cultural issue or whether that's a legal issue, we exist in a world where people give our sector money to do things. And if the result isn't as they would like, they have a nasty habit of suing us. So we need to think about that contractual, that the way we build the whole ecosystem and think about the fact we still need to be able to trust AI. And I don't think we're in a position yet to do that because AI is not reliable. We all know great examples where it produces ineffective results. So I think we have that as an issue as well still.
So again, no, AI is a tool. Who puts the information into the AI? Where does that come from? Who dictates that? It's all about, again, culture. So if we look at ethics and we look at bias within AI, we have fairness math that deals with the issue of how well we can get something done to put it into AI and develop the accuracy of that. That can enable a better AI decision. If we put our own cultural biases or any kind of biases, forget that, religious or otherwise, into the AI system, garbage in, garbage out. So it's not about the AI, it's about the people's willingness to change their behavior patterns and understand that when they create this, whether for project management or healthcare or anything else, that they have to be able to enable this with a certain level of honesty, like the honesty job, and basically create that philosophy in the system in order to get it to work as best as possible. It will hallucinate, absolutely. We hallucinate as humans, but still.
Thanks. I think another thing we need to address is what I would call not a shortage of talent, but a shortage of the right kind of talent within the sector. The projects I work on at the moment, I can't tell you about them because they're NDAs, I'll have to kill you afterwards, but what really brings them to my mind is I'm not a data scientist, but I'm a domain expert in certain things. And for me, the beauty of when AI does work and is adopted is when you get those combinations of teams where you get people who fully understand the built environment and you get people who really understand the data science. And I think one thing we're lacking still, perhaps this is a cultural thing in terms of hiring these people and bringing them into the organisations, but we need teams of people and indeed people who begin to get both bits themselves, people who understand the data science, the opportunities, the limitations, but really understand our domain. Our domain is complicated. The projects I'm working on at the moment, it's in the built environment, it's one part of it, and trying to explain to people some of the nuances of property law and construction law and the realities of how things work in the built environment is a challenge.
So, on that topic, partially agree that there are challenges with that. However, there is a but. The fact remains that just as if we take going back, we had folders, which was basically used as a crowdsourcing mechanism to solve a medical problem. Why are we not crowdsourcing our intellectual capital to be able to create better data science models that will allow you to do the things you need to do? We're not, because again, we're siloed and everybody wants to hug their individual technology. They want to have competitive advantage, and we come right back to the behavior. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And if we want to have the right approach, we have to basically enable one where there's less of a culture of that competitiveness, particularly around artificial intelligence, and more culture of co-opness and collaboration to allow those shared data sources to be able to use across the system. Otherwise, we're still going to end up in the same position.
Okay, last round.
I guess my closing, is this closing point?
Yeah.
For me, it's about direction and causation. I think we look at culture, and culture for me is a summation of all these structural issues we need to address. So in some respects I'm agreeing, but I'm just saying that direction and causation is different. We have lots of structural issues, and you could argue those are caused by human beings, which of course they are, because we define the sector, we define the way that organisations are set up, the way that different professions interact, the way contracts are currently written. So it's in our hands to change that. So from a cultural point of view, we can do that. But there are some structural issues that need to be changed. As a sector, we operate on low margins. We need to start thinking about the R&D levels that we spend, the investment we put into these things, and that we're not passive receivers of technology, that we own the problem, that we own the issue as a sector, and we invest in people and technology to actually overcome these barriers and create a different culture.
Yeah, yes. So yes, causation is a factor, but it's not the entire picture. Like everything else, if we take smoking, if we take any of the other things, what's the underlying thing, right? We cannot fix the system if we continue to blame causality as the reason for why it's not being done. If you want something to change, you have to enable the change. And if you don't enable the change won't happen. So if you take causation as a factor in anything, and they say, when you talk about correlation, not because something happened is there necessarily a relationship between the two, it's the same principle that applies here. People's behavior will go either left or right of the cause because they're comfortable, not because it's right or wrong. And until we fix that or find a way of doing that, and I don't necessarily have a solution, we're not going to be able to fix the problems, first of all, with projects, and second of all, with enabling AI within project management.
Next up, Lisa Silander and Marco Frisenda are going head-to-head on whether AI is just a tool and whether it's coming for our jobs.
This is the one that gets personal fast, because nobody in that room could claim it wasn't relevant to them.
So hi, I'm Lisa Silander, and I'm going to be arguing that AI will not take our jobs. If you look back in time, there's always been a nervousness when there's been a significant change in any sort of industry. So let's think about the Industrial Revolution. Everyone worried that they were going to lose their jobs. They brought machines in. It just made it more effective, more efficient, and actually created more jobs. And then if we look at like when computers were introduced, it again made us more effective, more efficient. The information that we were producing was much more reliable. And again, it created more jobs. It gave us greater capacity to actually do the real work in understanding and designing. So, sorry, I haven't timed myself. And so if we look at AI now, it merely is just another tool that's going to help us provide more effective project controls. It's going to give us greater data to enable us to make those decisions.
Okay, over to you. So hi, Marco Frisenda. I am basically fighting by saying, sorry, AI will replace jobs. Now, I need to qualify it by saying probably it will create some different type of jobs, but it will replace for sure jobs. It will start, we are almost there, not totally, but it will, it goes everywhere. So it goes in project control. We can have, AI doing the schedules, doing the control. If we then get to the point where we have some of the robots or things on site which will move around all in the same, following the schedule, which probably is going to be faster and also cheaper, because there are things like, say, health and safety for the robot that doesn't apply. You can do stuff much quicker. You don't have to worry about, many human factors that come in. I really think that probably most of the jobs are gonna be lost. Sorry for this doom and gloom. But, but really, picture, basically, everything can be automated by AI.
Thank you very much for the instruction, guys. So now we've got 6 rounds. So you start round 1.
I still think that you're going to need humans. I would actually like to agree. I think our jobs will change, but we'll still fundamentally need humans to run a project and deliver a project. The information that we can get is going to be much more effective. We'll have robots maybe doing the construction on site, but we still need to look after those robots because they'll probably be expensive. But I'm just saying we'll still need somebody to direct those robots. We still need somebody to understand what the outcome of those projects and programs are. And we still need to make sure that what we're delivering is actually going to be a useful and a reliable place for people to live, whatever we're designing or whatever we're constructing. And we still need to ensure that we're not going to overspend. We've talked about it earlier, AI, it has hallucinations. I'll say, yeah, that'll just cost that much money. But you do need that human element to check and control. But it will make us more effective, more efficient, and actually create more jobs.
Well, I think if AI is fully implemented, it can start from the very beginning. It starts with the prompt. We want to build a tunnel, for example, with this characteristic, and then AI will produce the schedule, will produce the cost, will have X amount of, call it robot, call it as you want. They can go there, they can follow the schedule, follow the cost. Everything is automated. They can work 24 hours a day, no holiday. You can literally start from the very beginning of it. Imagine that, you say, oh, I want to build a tunnel, and then one AI starts to build the drawings, and then another one reads the drawing, gives you the cost, gives you the perfect schedule. You will apply the schedule. Reality is, yes, you will need obviously a couple of people probably to maintain them, make sure that they still work. But reality is, out of, I don't know, a site that can be of 10,000 people, you might probably need, 50. That's a big leap of faith.
But the reality is, what happens when we find a historic site when we start doing the foundation digging? Do the robots keep digging? They don't realise they've just found a Roman fort under there. We do need that human element, and no AI can actually predict that that's going to happen. I don't believe. There's other instances where there'll be the information that they're given. It won't enable them to build the foundation. They may not have contemplated that actually in this area there's always, I don't know, lime, so it needs deeper foundations, or clay needs deeper foundations. The controllers are still going to need to be there. The project managers are still going to need to be there. And somebody has to be accountable for that final piece, that final building, that final road that people are happy to go and use.
So yes, of course we're not talking about something where the human is not anymore present, obviously. We are talking about AI taking jobs, which means the jobs that you have now, classical big project with thousands of people working on it, reducing it to 50, that's for me taking the job. You still need the 50, you still need probably the right person. The AI works within some frameworks, within some constraint. So if it's outside, somebody will need to look at this and, take a decision. But reality is, we are talking about science now, but I can go in the medical, area where, to be fair, doctors read a book and then get really skilled at what they do. Well, AI can do this probably in 1 millisecond compared to them. What I'm trying to say is, it's literally taking the jobs in a sense. Some will remain, some will change. Round 3.
I think all of our jobs will remain. I agree with you that there'll be less of us on those sites, but it means we'll be able to get more work done more effectively and more efficiently. The projects will be able to be funded with more accuracy, but we'll still need people to decide that something needs to be built. We still need to have that human interaction. If we don't have someone saying, I think this road is terrible, we need to make a new road, or if we don't have someone saying that building is falling down, we need to start, renovating it or knock it down and start again. We still need those people, and we also need the people to be able to interact with stakeholders who are funding these projects, that will want to continue to fund these projects. We'll need people to have real data and real insights that will enable them to have those conversations, those human conversations, and make human judgment on what we spend the money on, what we decide not to do, what we do.
So I could say there are obviously metrics that you can use in order to know if a road has to be replaced. You just look at the normal time that the car would take to go from point A to point B. If the road starts to have problems, you will see it because the time will go down. So there are metrics that can be used. The same goes with the building. You have some frameworks where you can say the building after X amount of years, how many interventions are needed, and you can actually schedule it. So the reality is, yes, as I said, you might have a couple of people there, kind of making sure that everything is still working. But at the end of the day, you have metrics, you have patterns. An AI which analyzes patterns, analyzes methods, can actually tell you, we need to do a work on the road. We need to do, work on a building, or we need to change the building. Funding will be fundamentally different, because at the end of the day, it's not anymore, there is this kind of risk there because of the human factor. You can predict it much more specifically.
Right, halfway through, round 4.
The funding will be fundamentally different, but it's still not going to be limitless, and it's still going to need somebody to prioritise. It's still going to need someone to have that human intervention on what have we got, what can we spend the money on. We need to make human decisions that will enable our humans to carry on living and working and interacting in life. I don't envisage us all sitting at home, sit at home and not leaving our house. Maybe we won't leave roads. As long as we are humans and we want to interface with people, we want to work, we want to have nice places to go to, we want to be able to go on roads, go on aeroplanes, build airports. As long as we still want that as humans, we still need to have people that can make those decisions, because AI could decide You know what? We don't need airports. Everyone can just sit at home and look on the telly at places. They could make that decision. Who's the human there that's going to tell us no?
Well, we are not exploring 1 second the human impact, obviously, of AI, but if you think about, I give you just a picture. Imagine AI can decide, based on, for example, traffic flow, to divert, traffic in one sense, or there is a football game somewhere, or a rugby match somewhere. It can actually make sure that the parking spaces are available for the people which are going, redirecting everything else in such a way that the queues are going to be less. So yes, I tend to agree on the fact that obviously this is kind of the annihilation of our society. However, from an AI perspective, in reality, if you think about most of the jobs, as they stand now, of course, can be replaced easily. Many of the things that we draw is from our experience, but if you think about the experience is coming from, in any case, stuff that you have read, done, which is available. It's good to have humans. Well, it's a fight, and also.
It's getting really deep now.
I think that's called a low. Right, go five.
I can't remember where you went to. So I do think we need humans still. But I think that the thing that AI will bring to the workplace, and I fundamentally, going back to my original point, things change. Things have changed. Work has changed over the years. We talk about the Industrial Revolution. We talk about computers. This is just another tool. It's going to make us more effective, more efficient. It's going to give us better information, better informed information for us as humans to make decisions on projects and programs. It'll give you what-if scenarios in a very nice few minutes, I'm sure. But as a human that needs to make that judgment, and as a human that needs to take the accountability for the decision that's taken, if we let AI do that, we won't need humans, and therefore none of us will be here anyway, so none of us will have a job or need a job. But, I think that it's been proven over the years that technology actually grows professions. It doesn't stint them.
So that's the reason. I went really far, in a sense, saying, why do you need humans? But my point here is, it will take jobs, and this is guaranteed. Now, what it means taking jobs, or the quantity of jobs, the quantum, that's obviously a totally different now discussion. But that it will replace jobs, I think it's going to happen. And I think human is very resilient, to be fair. The jobs will change. But if you are not conversant with AI is going to take jobs. I mean, he can do most of the tasks that I, for example, find really boring. For example, when I was a planner, updating the schedule, coding the schedule, all these kind of exercises, which I always saw as a waste of time, which are not. This can be done really fast by AI with the prompt, and does it. So if we continue in that way, and we don't realize that the AI is there, and it's going to take those jobs.
How's it staying? Yeah. Do you know what? I don't think we disagree with each other that much here. I think that we actually know that AI will take some of the boring jobs, for sure. But I think that I fundamentally believe that the work that we do will be more interesting, will be more impactful and more strategic based on the information that AI gives us. And I think if we ignored AI, we would be foolish. We won't be here in a year's time as professionals if we do ignore AI. But I do believe that it can enhance, and I believe that it will bring more jobs to our industry, and it'll give us greater information to enable us to deliver projects on time, on schedule and on cost. And it'll enable us to make key decisions that we've not had the insights that we require to do today.
So as a closing statement, I actually have to disagree in a sense that some of the things that you're saying might change completely. So if AI starts really to take the jobs, there are certain parameters that you are looking at now, like, oh, we should be doing that because it's better. In reality, it doesn't apply anymore. So I leave you more with a question mark now, which is more, it's going to replace jobs. It's going to replace a lot of things. The only question mark for me at the end of the day is why. Because if we don't solve the question of why, and the answer is just, oh, because we can use AI and it's a cool tool, well, then I really question our sanity in a sense. So I think it's gonna happen. It's already happening, by the way. How much? I don't know. A lot, I'm sure. I'm 100% sure. My question mark is more now a philosophical one, which is why would we want to do that?
Final fight. Sarah Crawley versus Kashan Ratyal on whether AI genuinely improves project delivery or whether that claim holds up under real scrutiny.
This was the one that got the room most animated, and once you hear it, you'll understand why.
AI does not improve projects. It's an absolute waste of time. We delivered London Bridge without BIM. We did the pyramids without a single line of code and no cloud platform in sight. The Shard was delivered without any AI, as was the Olympics with no AI. We have had centuries of engineering excellence, all powered on paper, pen, and good coffee. You don't need it. It's a waste of time.
Job. Full of time left, yeah? You just leave an awkward silence.
No, go for it. Can you take it, Kashan?
So look, London Bridge and the likes of, I'll give you the pyramids, right? There definitely wasn't tech and AI there, but London Bridge definitely had tech and AI. Celebrating London Bridge as a success is like celebrating Birmingham New Street, which was a success, but it was also double the budget and it was double the program, but it was still a masterclass success. Without tech and AI, you'd be back to calculators and a pen and not even an Excel sheet. And we all know how good our quantity surveyors are in the room, if there are any. And you'd be getting sold more expert consultants without tech and expert. We know how expensive that is. So I absolutely categorically disagree about that. Tech and AI don't have a place fully.
Round one.
Can we all take a moment to think, imagine if HS2 had AI, it'd be even longer than it is now, even more delayed. Digital twins, an utter failure. BIM models, I'm yet to see one survive contact with a site team. It just adds more noise and more nonsense into what is already complicated in project delivery. And in my opinion, the only people that benefit from technology, and particularly in AI, is consultants. So they can charge you more money, and you should care about that as a client organisation. And as far as I'm concerned, AI is just a flashy new thing. We've had NFTs, we've had BIM, we've had blockchain. Anyone remember the metaverse? Anybody in the metaverse yet? No. AI is just flashy new tech, Kashan, masquerading. It's jazz hands.
All right. Everybody's been watching the news recently, right? Have you ever heard of a guy called Donald Trump? This is a Trump fan club here, right? AI, without AI's coming, whether we like it or not. I mean, look at Nokia. Nokia was such a big brand and they failed because they didn't keep up with technology. IBM produced everything and robots and they didn't keep up with technology and they're basically dead. So the fact that Sarah leads Simterra, if she doesn't embrace this AI technology, she'll be dead with it. So for me, technology and AI has a place. How we use it has to have a place. I'm all for humans. I've got to be there. Definitely don't believe the other guy wherever he's gone. We don't need humans. We absolutely do. And they will drive it, utilize it, and join the dots. This Donald Trump blasé approach doesn't work.
Thank you. Round two.
Fake news. It's people who deliver projects, Kashan, not AI. Are any of your projects in Backchecks being delivered by robots? It's not an algorithm delivering the works. It's people who are good PMs that understand what they're doing, that know how to say no, that can send an email without using a chatbot. And at the end of the day, let's all be honest, like AI is only ever as good as the data you feed it. And most of all of our project knowledge exists in Excel spreadsheets, people's heads, and maybe some WhatsApp messages. So again, it's still an absolute waste of time, and you just need good people.
Yeah, well, I agree. You need good people, but people also need tools, right? It's like saying when the sat-nav was introduced, it didn't improve driving and it didn't improve where you were going. You sound like you still use the A to Z maps in London and carry it in your pocket how to get to Birmingham New Street or Tamworth. You really struggles with Tamworth, right? So that's number one. I absolutely agree you need people, but Excel is tech. Go 30, 40 years ago, it was sheets and draftsmen, and now Excel is definitely expiring. So AI will take over tech. Email, again, is tech. Emails are produced by people. I agree, but again, I really don't agree with your argument here. AI will take over with tech.
Round three.
Microsoft Excel is the market leader, and it is what most of the time is just a digital twin. It's technology that hasn't changed since what, the 1980s, and it's still, as I say, the market kind of leader. And to your point about SatNav, well, yeah, obviously, that's solving a really basic pain point. You need to get from A to B, and how do I get there? Like, construction delivery is way more complex. No project is ever the same. It's different teams with different people with different ground conditions. Like, most of our built world was already built. So and each time you get to a new project, it has to be different. The variables change every single time. And SatNav works because the variables don't. It's a very simple problem to solve. And construction Kashan, you might not know this, but it's a lot more complex. And it's a lot more moving parts. Back to you.
So roads do have variables. You clearly just travel on the toll and your business expenses there, but everybody can't afford that luxury. You've absolutely lost me with this argument, you know. If we had, just imagine now we had no tech, right? And we were trying to build, I don't know, Curzon Street Station without tech. With tech, HS2, we all know, and this is no criticism to HS2, by the way, HS2 is programs double, the budget's double, that's with tech. Imagine what it'd be without tech. McKinsey's report says we leave 1.6 trillion change on the table without tech. These are facts. Back to you, Sarah.
McKinsey, the consultants that tell you what you already knew in some very flashy, pretty-looking PowerPoint presentations. And I thought you'd come with this argument, Kashan, which is why I prepared the standard McKinsey response. McKinsey has been publishing reports about construction productivity since 2017, people. 8 years of reports, that is, and what's changed? By their own admission, nothing. Productivity is still flat, and actually, it turns out 50 billion was invested in technology, and it hasn't moved the needle. So I think that says quite a lot. So in 2 years, 50 billion, and it's not moved the needle. My argument is I think maybe it could be applicable in other industries, but it doesn't work in construction, and it's never going to work.
So is that a technology problem, or is that a people problem, or is that a construction problem? The fact that when we talk industries, pharmaceutical, rail, manufacturing, retail have all advanced massively with tech, and they continue to do so with AI. Construction, unfortunately, has failed technology, and the people's application of it makes it difficult sometimes to implement. But all technologies have to go through the notion of nurturing, trialing, testing. The same as people. You're really talking here, we've got people on the market, especially in the Midlands, that are absolutely brilliant, and they're going to walk in tomorrow and they're going to take your program, deliver it on time, on budget. It doesn't happen. There's a professor over there who will tell you how many projects are not delivered on time.
I'm fine.
I think, Kashan, I need to take you to a construction site so you can see what actually happens and how work gets delivered. There is no AI. There's often not even working Wi-Fi. So they can't even get to the AI even if they wanted to, let alone even a Microsoft Excel kind of online. So they're struggling. And so there's not so much a people problem, it's that we can't even get working Wi-Fi. Even on the train up here today, I spent the majority of it with no Wi-Fi. Yeah, we're all like, oh, AI, jazz hands is going to improve everything. I haven't got working Wi-Fi on a train. Like, again, it's just a new thing for us all just to like run towards as quickly as possible. So as I say, the only people benefiting Kashan are the consultants.
Consultants are people, right? Just checking.
Debatable.
Boo. I'm not a consultant, by the way, I'll still boo that. Right. So whether Wi-Fi works or not, that isn't an AI problem, right? That's an infrastructure problem. And I don't know how many sites you've been on recently where you see draftsmen with pens and papers and engineers on the ground mapping it out. They all use tech. And there's plenty of tech being used in AI in terms of people-plant segregation, in terms of drone surveys, in terms of organizations like Sensat, where the topos are doing that way, where you actually don't even need to leave the office anymore to go on site. And if you actually believe the guys on site are the ones planning it, designing it, engineering it, pricing it, based off Excel or paper and pencil, Sarah, I will welcome you to any site tour with me, because where you live, they definitely haven't got any construction sites.
Last round.
Maybe I do need to get out of South East London more. All the site cabins and projects I go down to, it's being managed not as on P6 or not in these Microsoft Project or Asta. It's done on good old-fashioned post-it notes. And that's how last mile planning is done, and that's how work's delivered and packaged up on site. And in the sense of being able to track things, you know, again, keep coming back to it. It's Microsoft Excel, not AI. So, as far as I'm concerned, post-it notes are the real winners here.
She's opening a lean construction business as a consultant, guys. I wouldn't buy that. So look, your argument is very similar to the people in the 90s when electricity came out and they thought it was a devil's device and you should stay away from electrics and they stuck to candles, right? But guess what? We've all got electrics now. It was the same thing in the 1920s when the phone was invented. The Turkish, the Ottomans were like, oh my God, the devil's whispering to us. But it was the phone, Sarah. Excel, to remind you, is a technology which was created. So I think you really are stuck in the 19th century, no, 1900s. On top of that, it's a bit hypocritical, Sarah, considering you're working with me to develop your Simterra tool with our AI to get it to the next evolution. So I think I win this argument.